This is an edict. This is diabolic edict. This is a segmented roll. This is the tormented soul. This is a French man. This is a French horse. Knowing the difference can save your life. This is Shrek. This is Leshrac.
And this is the only way to play Leshrac. I apologize in advance, you'll understand why at the end of the intro. Leshrac, the Tormented Soul, is a ranged intelligence hero with 100% AoE presence. He excels at sitting in the middle of fights and simply surviving longer than the enemy. So keep that in mind when you're up against him. You better check yourself before you Leshrac yourself. But you already knew that, so let's rock and roll. We're going back to basics with this guide, where my wyvern proposed some pretty polarizing ideas. Leshrac's straightforward. You can always depend on him to have an unwavering build and be depressing as hell. Honestly, Leshrac's the most likely candidate to go up to a little girl skipping along and tell her that God's not real. He's also literally enlightened by his own intelligence, so the jokes write themselves. Anyway, the one thing that differs between my Leshrac and their Leshrac, whoever they are, is that I run Leshrac mid, and if not mid, I don't ever run him as a support. I farm up as much as I can early, max out my edict first, tank up and push as much... Weird, this is the second guide in a row I've said that. Honestly, on paper Leshrac should be picked in every game. An AoE stun, the ability to push, the ability to flash farm, a lot of damage. He's a death prophet who has a pushing ability with 50% uptime and a short cooldown, meaning in this 6.83 meta, tier 1 fortification refresh doesn't phase him. So what does counter Leshrac? I really can't say. You could say heroes that burn mana, I guess, but even then it's limited to heroes that burn mana and don't depend on illusions to do it, because Leshrac melts illusions. So, Nyx? OD? Maybe Bane? Dotabuff says Huskar, Lifestealer, Juggernaut, Viper are up there as heroes to which Leshrac loses games. That can be put down to magic resistance. Then there's Sniper, who outranges Leshrac's Pulse Nova, so that's a given. From what we've seen, you could say that BKB counters Leshrac, but I'd say have a closer look and you'd see that Leshrac usually lives longer than a BKB's charge, and he's so prevalent before BKBs are usually bought anyway. I've never wanted to pick Leshrac to then decide against it because the enemy picks something. Because of this, you could pick him first in a lot of games for your team to have more time to think. So pick him whenever, I guess. Allies of Leshrac include anyone who can push early, so our friend Winter Wyvern gets another mention on the show. Nature's Prophet gets a mention, Enigma gets a special mention because Black Hole gathers enemies for a multiple target split earth. Any hero with a targeted or big enough stun could make friends with Leshrac. He also likes any hero or item that amplifies his magic damage. Outer Titan, Skywrath Mage, Veil of Discord, as well as any hero that can lend him mana. Crystal Maiden and Keeper of the Light, for example. As with every only way to play guide I've done, you can find this one in-game as well as on YouTube. Check the description to subscribe. But what the hell is it with me in endorsing leveling up stats over skills? Nearly all of my first 5 guides will have it. It shouldn't come as a surprise to most Leshrac players what spell I skip. It's clearly Diabolic Edict. It's useless. Physical damage on a magical damage hero? Psh, what the hell? My level progression is as follows. Q W W Q W Q W Q R stats stats R stats E. It's not set in stone. You can swap 2 levels every now and again and it wouldn't impact you that much, but let's get in depth. Don't level up right out of the gate. Diabolic Edict is the spell with the most raw damage at level 1, and we can pick it up over Split Earth if we're clashing in River for a level 1 rune. Otherwise, we go with the tried and true stun at level 1 tactic. Split Earth stun is 2 seconds and the cooldown 9 no matter the level. The only things that change are the damage and radius. If you're not confident with landing it, you can get it to rank 2, but when you're more adept, you get Diabolic Edict for the 360 to 720 jump in damage. Bear in mind, most heroes start off with sub 500 HP at level 1. By level 3, barely any hero bar Spirit Breaker or Doom is clocking over 700 HP without an inventory filled with gauntlets of strength. That means if your lane rival is low enough HP, you can kill him just with Edict right now. By level 8, we've maxed out Split Earth and Edict. The preferred order is pretty nebulous. We skip ult until this point so we have more cheap damage and pushing potential. By level 9, however, I get 1 point in my ult if I have Bottle, Soul Ring, and my ill-fated Arcane Boots. If not, I level up stats. But by level level 11, we've put our 2 levels into the ultimate Pulse Nova because at this point the towers are usually mostly down, the laning phase is fading away, and teamfights are on the horizon. Plus it means you can kill all 5 camps every minute if you're quick. Then we completely forgo Lightning Storm. It doesn't even get the 1 value point treatment Cold Embrace got in my first guide. Harsh, I know, but compared to Split Earth, it's the worst spell. Compared to Edict, it's the worst spell, and Leshrac needs stats to keep the mana hog that is Pulse Nova satiated. On so many heroes, Lightning Storm would be an amazing spell, but on Leshrac, the opportunity cost of leveling it is far too detrimental to the only way to play him. Boy, this section's getting long, but I still want to add that the buffs it's been given along the way still don't make it worthwhile. Sure, it has the 0.5 second slow, and that can help land your stun, except it straight up can't. Leshrac has the longest cast animation in Dota at 0.7, and if my high school math class have taught me right, that's more than 0.5. You lose distance on a hero that you're trying to slow. It's also very lackluster if you drop Edict for it in the early game, like a lot of builds suggest. Great! Now you can deal 260 damage to a handful of enemies on a 4-second cooldown, but now you can't push, you can't solo kill anyone, and you're just a hero that is a worse version of Shadow Demon or someone similar. But I will give it credit. Against a team of all summons, Enigma, Nature's Prophet, Lone Druid, Lycan, Invoker that are 5-man and pushing like crazy, Lightning Storm might be useful, but then again, it only hits 7 units at most. So there we go, stats until you can't level up stats anymore, with level 16 reserved for Pulse Nova, and then you can reluctantly welcome in that filth-covered ability into your spell catalogue. It's like a puppy that's trying to be loved by shitting all over your upholstery in heart-shaped patterns. But let's not talk about Lightning Storm anymore. Split Earth in total takes 1.05 seconds to stun after you've clicked where you want it to land, so plan ahead. And it destroys trees, which means you can cut shortcuts in the jungle to help with getting all 5 camps every spawn, and like every spell that destroys trees, it lends itself nicely to a top 10 G. Diabolic Edict is physical, which most people already know, but it also deals 40% extra damage to towers. The total damage to a 0 armor hero is 360, 720, 1080, 1440, and to a 0 armor tower, 504, 1008, 1512, 2016. Diabolic Edict also works on Roshan, so gear him up with someone who lowers armor, and Roshan has the potential of disappearing completely after a few seconds. Diabolic Edict also persists until its full duration. You can realize you're losing the 1v1 you're in, suicide with Bloodstone, and still get the kill from beyond the grave. Lightning Storm searches in a 650 range every jump, but why are we even talking about that? Piss off, Lightning Storm, nobody even likes you. It's damn right. Pulse Nova deals 100, 130 or 160 damage every second depending on the level and costs 20, 40 and 60 mana respectively. To turn it on, however, it costs 70, 90 or 110 mana plus that per second mana cost. This means that leaving it on when trying to catch up to a hero out of your reach is better than turning it off and on early, and then gets progressively less effective. 4 seconds of leaving it on at level 1 is more efficient than turning it off and back on 4 seconds later. I can stop getting beaten up by all the other 6k players now because we're back to a typical build for our mid Leshrac. Get a Null Talisman and some Tangos pulled if you've got willing supports. If not, don't throw a hissy fit, just buy them yourself, you cheapskate. Get Bottle ASAP, then Boots, then Sage's Mask into Sol Ring. Pretty standard stuff for a Bloodstone rush. You either forego early Bloodstone in exchange for more damage by going Phase Boots, or you buy your energy booster and make Arcanes, which you then break down later on. I go Arcane Boots over Phase in most regards, unless I need the Phase active to maybe escape Shaman wards. My logic with that is that I deal more damage with my spells than I would with the plus 24 on my auto attacks. Leshrac gets most tower last hits just by the nature of Diabolic Edict. If you get 3 or 4 of them, Bloodstone can easily come pre-16 minutes. After that point, channel Fleetwood Mac and go your own way. If all's good in the hood, I go straight from Bloodstone to Aghanim Scepter. If I'm doubtful, I'll go 4-star first though. Then there's also a BKB if I'm being stun locked or bursted down, and on the opposite spectrum, if I'm being destroyed by physical damage, I'll go Shiva's Guard. And still, there's Boots of Travels to deal with split pushes, and Yules, and Blink. Wow, so many things can come between a Bloodstone to Ags rush. I guess it rarely is good in the hood. That's the core items out of the way, so let's talk about some more situational pickups. Medallion of Courage is the corest of... Huh. Oh wait, no. I've got the wrong notes here. This is taken from the Wyvern guide. Medallion on the strike just doesn't make any sense. You're basically all magical damage. Let me go get the right build. Huh. medallions on here too. Yeah, alright, let's roll with that. Medallion, of course, isn't a core item by any means, but hey, it helps alleviate your subpar HP and strength gain early when you're in the middle of a fight. And when you found a straggler, the active plus your diabolic edict helps melt him down that little bit faster. The straggler could even be named Roshan. Plus, Leshrac's a pusher. Medallion's a good pushing item. It really just speaks for itself. Oddly enough, I've spent all this time talking about an item I barely ever get, such as life. Then there's Veil of Discord, the side of bland carrots on the plate of your girlfriend's most juicy meatloaf. Yeah, let's go with that. You know you have to have it because it's good for you and amplifies nearly all the damage you do. It builds up from a null talisman you already have. It helps you see in the dark for all those times when you're in the dark looking for something without a torch or light. That's not useful at all. Huh. Well, this analogy's gone off on a tangent, and it's sort of making me hungry. Basically, Veil's expensive, it's not noticeably doing anything, it's giving you barely any stats for the item slot it's taking up, but you know, in your heart of hearts, that it's useful for the team! Oh, and if you want to be clever, Shadowblade now works with Pulse Nova and Edict. I haven't tried it in an official game, but it's an option. So now we're on lane. Nice block, by the way. Leshrac doesn't usually struggle with last hitting. He's got good damage and 600 range, so I'm going to assume you're at least breaking even there. If you're up against a short range hero, animation cancelling your split earth can deter them from a lot of last hits at the cost of, 0 mana. Getting into the mind of your opponent is key to killing him, and it's just fun in general. When you see him start ignoring your animation cancelling, just stop animation cancelling. Stun him! You benefit from keeping the lane on your side of the river, and if he's stunned there, run to the other side of him and turn on your edict. Stay away from creeps and trickle him down. They'll either do two things: run back to the tower, taking all the damage from the edict, or they run through the middle of their creep wave and then out the side of your lane. One gets a kill, and the other scares him off and makes him miss a full wave of creeps while he takes the long way back to lane. As we get closer to maxing out edict, we push mid if your lane rivals the ganking type, and gank ourselves if he's a farmer like SF, Sniper or OD. Go to the lane with the best pushing heroes and take a tower or 6. When taking a tower, wait until they pop Glyph of Fortification, then use your edict. If the enemy team is waiting for you to activate edict so they can fortify, just call their bluff and don't use it. They have to show their hand before you do, and sooner or later they'll fortify or risk losing their tower for nothing. Even in a losing game, Leshrac can get an easy sub 20 minute bloodstone, and the next items you get will be on a play-by-play basis. But in any game, there's no point in risking losing to a better late game when you can end extremely fast. I've had games where I pick up a quick mechanism, push every lane and win pre 20 minutes, but every second you wait is another second that their carry is given to farm that mystery game-winning item. That's all I can really think up off the top of my head right now. And hey, with a build this sturdy, it's okay if you get bored of it after a while. The main thing I'll always tell you is good luck and have fun. Thanks for making it all the way to the end of this Only Way to Play episode. If you want to help me make more of these videos with even better visuals, check out my Patreon page. One of the perks lets you collaborate with me to make the next hero guide. And to those wondering, yes, I'm aware, I promised mid-Oracle, mid-Disruptor, and Armlet Sniper for this episode. And all of that was a lie to make you subscribe. I feel awful about it all. Tune in next time to see Hard Carry Techies support Spectre and Radiant's Wraith King.